Good morning. I'm Christophe Milin. I work for CINEA. CINEA is in charge of the Life Clean Energy Transition sub-program, and among other things, I have the pleasure of being the project advisor for EU peers. I'm afraid I cannot be with you today, but I was given the opportunity to say a few words of introduction and give some element of EU context. So thank you for that. I'm going to share a presentation. The idea is to discuss the rollout of integrated home renovation services in Europe, but I wanted to just say a few words of context because we're going to discuss housing. And one key issue is not only the energy efficiency of housing, but even the accessibility of housing and accessibility to affordable housing, which is a key priority for the new Commission. The Commission has launched the first ever European Affordable Housing Plan that includes some technical assistance to cities and member states, and with a focus on investment and developing the skills, in particular in the construction workforce, to make sure that we have available workers to renovate the existing stock and further increase the offer of housing. The Commission include a European strategy for housing construction with the idea to reduce costs for building, boosting skills, increasing productivity, and making sure that indeed there is investment in the construction of new houses and performant new houses. That's for the legislative and regulatory part. The plan from the Commission also includes some investment facility, pan-European investment platform to facilitate also affordable and sustainable housing. And as in the past, there is a possibility to use cohesion policies and cohesion funds to also facilitate the renovation of the building stock and increase the offer of affordable and sustainable housing. The target of reaching climate neutrality by 2050 remains. So net zero emission within the next 20 years, which is extremely ambitious, and with an intermediate target in 2030, that means tomorrow, to reduce our greenhouse gases emission by half compared to their level in 1990. These objectives, very ambitious objectives, translate in a number of key legislations that were revised mostly over the past Commission mandate. The Energy Efficiency Directive, the Energy Performance of Building Directive, and the Renewable Energy Directive, which aims to accelerate the deployment of energy efficiency and sustainable energy, notably in building, making sure that our building stock, which is one of the largest consumer of energy in Europe, is performant. And by doing so, also addressing some concern on energy poverty and ensuring that our clean energy transition is made in a just and in a just manner. There are also further concerns in the current context and considering geopolitical context of ensuring our energy security, and all of that can be tackled indeed by addressing our housing stock. One of the key elements in the directive, the revised directive, is the setup of one-stop shops. So these notions are mentioned in both the Energy Efficiency Directive and the Energy Performance of Building Directive in Article 22 and Article 18. In the Energy Efficiency Directive, the text define a number of services to be provided to stimulate energy efficiency renovations. And in Energy Performance of Building Directive, we have a number of provision related to the accessibility to these one-stop shops and the geographical coverage to be considered. behind this expression of one-stop shop is a nice combination of words to convey the idea of simplification. So that doesn't necessarily mean that renovation became simple, but it rather means that one entity, a one-stop shop, will take care of all the complexity of renovating houses and deliver some simplicity, some simplified services towards the end user, so towards, in particular, owners of buildings, homeowners, simplify the renovation for them, taking care of all the complexity of energy renovation, with a number of services expected to deliver information, rationalize the access to financial support when this exists, clarify the liabilities and securing trust towards the services, which is a key element. We know that in renovation, it's always very stressful. Many things can go wrong, and homeowners to be able to engage in such a large intervention in the house need to be reassured that if anything goes wrong, there are clear processes and liabilities in place to fix the problems as they arrive, and make sure that in the end the results are achieved. Another idea behind the term of one-stop shop is to pool skills and make sure that we have indeed a skilled workforce to deliver the services to homeowners. And on the other hand, the possibility to aggregate rather small projects. Renovation of a house is a rather small investment in the eye of financial actors. But if there is a possibility to aggregate and to some extent standardize these small-scale investments, there would be also a possibility to for financial actors to develop more tailored product, more adequate for the realities of energy efficiency in housing. So one-stop shop, you will see that the terms is rather loosely defined in the directive because the European Commission does not consider that there is one definition of one-stop shop that should be applied and replicated all over Europe. The context matters and matters a lot. Everywhere in Europe there is already pre-existing intervention, pre-existing actors working in the construction sector, working on energy efficiency, and the idea is not to get rid of everything that exists before, but rather to make sense out of the intervention and deliver the services that are not yet delivered by pre-existing actors and schemes. Also, the idea that the way you build trust will differ largely depending on where your intervention is. There are places in Europe where an intervention that would be strongly backed by public actors would be needed to ensure really trust from homeowners. In other places in Europe, a completely private approach could be also perfectly suitable to secure such trust. One important thing, as I said, is that there's no lack of market participants in the construction sector. There are many already active participants, but probably an absence of coordination to deliver a full package of services that is needed, especially for comprehensive, ambitious renovations. And also mentioning that some may have diverging interest or little incentive, let's say, to deliver a complex and therefore difficult intervention covering all the needs of homeowners. So what we seek, and don't get lost with the term one-stop shop, the one-stop shop does not necessarily mean that there is one single entity delivering by itself all the needed services, but what we look for is rather an ecosystem of coherent and complementary structures that make sense of all that exists before, make sense and get a coherence of the existing offers and existing supports. This term is fashionable now, but the idea is not so new, and we have many already active example in Europe. Some of them in Ireland and elsewhere, also in Europe. We cover with Live Clean Energy Transition sub-program. We already covered 16 member states with one-stop shop approaches, and even two associated countries with Ukraine and North Macedonia. We have a numerous example and we really much like them to talk to each other and share experiences. That's also why we encourage the EU peers community of practitioners that has, as you know, it's been presented a number of national platforms, one of them being in Ireland. Based on all these examples and best practices and discussion also with practitioners, the Commission issued recently in early March a guidance on how to set up one-stop shop services, which is not so much a guidance on how you should do it, but rather a number of observation and a number of questions even on what to consider when setting up one-stop shops. The idea behind the directives and these recommendations is not so much to explain what our concept of one-stop shop is and therefore explain how to spread it all over Europe, but rather to point a number of questions and use this one-stop shop concept as an opportunity to trigger a full set of services in your geography, and use this transposition of the directive as an opportunity to deliver a broader set of services to homeowners. Based on observation that you can find in EU peers also and in the recommendation, we did some analysis of what exists, find some observation and define even some generic models that we can see and with different characteristics that will require a number of choices to be made when setting up a one-stop shop. I'm not going to enter in this level of details, but you will see a number of observation in the recommendation from the Commission that can be also food for thought when setting up your one-stop shops. One key element I would say is the question of human resources and skills. First, to skills needed to develop the one-stop shop. So many of the one-stop shop we've seen are set up by public authorities and all the setup phase is actually can be also quite complex and requires some advanced skill to align interest of all of the pre-existing actors, align also the complexity of the different schemes that may exist, and set up the one-stop shop for replication on a broad scale. Then for operating the one-stop shop, also clear skills needed and a variety of skills. We need people, you would need people in the one-stop shop that are combining technical expertise for building renovation, but also financial expertise for not only making use of public support when it exists, but also facilitating the access to financial offers from financial actors, also understanding the exact situation of households and adjust the financial setting to the actual situation of the homeowners, and in general a lot of social expertise, the capacity to talk to homeowners, to understand their needs and present and define a project that makes sense to them and convince them that they should engage in this complex renovation process. And then there is also a need for skills, highly skilled people to work with the one-stop shop. Most likely the construction phase, the renovation phase will be done by construction workers, and therefore they also need to be trained and aligned also with the practices of the one-stop shop and in general align with energy efficiency practices and ambitious energy efficiency practices. So all these very skilled people need to be attracted to the sector, to be also secured in their working environment. So the one-stop shop should be able to provide good working conditions for these people, and therefore also good working condition means good salaries, career benefits, and also career prospects. So all of that requires strong business model to make sure that indeed a professional and highly skilled professional can find can find good working condition in the one-stop shop. So that requires a one-stop shop to find robust revenue streams. Just to mention that directives do not require the services to be provided for free. It's perfectly fine to charge at least part or full of the services to for instance, to the beneficiary, to the homeowners. The fact that it's perfectly fine and allowed to provide the services at a cost doesn't necessarily mean that people will be happy to pay for these services. So there is a discussion and probably an incremental approach to it to make sure that the services are in place, that they are of quality, and therefore their quality, and that this quality is recognized by market actors and by homeowners in particular, and to the extent that some may be willing to pay actually for these services. And there's certainly also a part of financial engineering to be developed to make sure also the cost of the services delivered by one-stop shop can be maybe included in the overall long-term financing of the renovation. So, for instance, the possibility to charge the services delivered by the one-stop shop in a package, in a loan package that includes also the renovation work. So a lot of reflection to be conducted on the actual business case and sources of revenues, again, to attract skilled workers and deliver a quality service for homeowners. We know that reaching maturity for the one-stop shop is a long process. Most of the one-stop shop we have accompanied took 4, 5, 6 years to reach even maturity, just maturity, and not even self-sustainability. I don't think any of the one-stop shop that we follow are actually completely self-sustainable. That means working without any subsidy to cover their running costs. But there is also a discussion to have on whether these one-stop shop should be self-sustainable. There is actually a need on the market that is not yet fulfilled, and placing the subsidies in support of the one-stop shop rather than, for instance, in support of energy efficiency action, changing boiler, changing windows, placing the grants rather on supporting the one-stop shop services can have actually higher leverage factors. And so there is a discussion also on whether this one-stop shop should be much more strongly supported and not necessarily self-sustainable. So unfortunately, I don't have the possibility to be with you and follow with this discussion. I wanted to conclude with just mentioning the fact that we still support One-Stop Shop in the next call for proposal in 2026. We have a deadline on the 16th of September this year, and you can find here information on the topic and what we support in One-Stop Shop this year, and a long video presentation also, if you're not tired of watching me in a video, explaining the particular details of this new topic. Thank you very much for the opportunity and have a nice conference.